Good morning to all of you. So, we have started this chapter, heat, in the previous week. So far, the contents that we have discussed are heat as a form of energy, we have discussed. Then, we have discussed the various units of heat. Then, we have discussed about temperature and various scales which are used to measure the temperature. The effects of heat we have discussed: change in temperature, change of state of a substance, change in dimension of an object. Then in the end we were discussing about thermal expansion and its types. So today we will discuss about thermal expansion in solids. What are the various practical applications of thermal expansion in solids, as well as thermal expansion in liquids, and various practical applications of thermal expansion in liquids we will discuss. Then we will discuss about the various modes of transfer of heat, that is conduction, convection and radiation. So let's start the discussion. So this was three types of thermal expansion that we have discussed: linear expansion, that is increase in the length of an object; then superficial or aerial expansion, that is increase in the area of an object when it is heated; and last one is cubical or volume expansion, that is increase in the volume of an object like metal block on heating. So details of these three expansions you will study in the next class. So today what we will discuss: first, the thermal expansion in solids. So as we all know, solids have infinite number of free surfaces. That is why it shows all the three types of thermal expansion, that is linear expansion, superficial expansion as well as cubical expansion. Suppose if you heat a solid, suppose if you heat this block, so what happens? As it is heated, this edge of the solid starts to increase. So this edge is showing the linear expansion. And since this edge is increasing, so this edge also increases, due to which this whole area is going to increase. So here it is showing the superficial expansion. And since on heating, this edge is heating and this is also heating, this horizontal edge also increases on heating. So when these all length, breadth and height increases, so it shows the cubical expansion. So we can say that the solid shows all the three types of expansions. Now let's see few practical applications of thermal expansion: sagging of telephone and electric wires, construction of bridges. Then a small gap is left between the iron rails of the railway tracks. Then fitting the iron or steel rim on a wheel. Then a small gap is always left between the iron rails of the railway tracks. So here you can see in this diagram, a small gap is there and this gap is provided so that during the summer, when the temperature increases and the rail expands, they should not touch each other, because if they touch each other, they will start buckling, that is a little bit of bending will be there and it may cause the accident. Also, when the train passes over these rails, a lot of heat is generated due to the friction, so due to which also these may expand. So in order to compensate this expansion, a small gap is always left between the iron rails of railway tracks. Then fitting the iron or steel rim on a wheel. So you must have seen these type of tires that are fixed on a bullock cart. So this steel rim has been put over this tire. Now the dimensions of this steel ring, that is the circumference of this steel ring, is always lesser than the circumference of this wheel. So what is done first? It is heated, and when it is heated, it is expanded. Then it is put over this this wooden wheel, and as it is put over on this wooden wheel, this wooden wheel is then suddenly cooled by putting it into the cool water. So when it is cooled, during the heating it is expand and it is easily put over this wheel, and when it is cooled it suddenly contracts and it grips the wheel firmly. So this is one of the most important application of thermal expansion in solids. Now thermal expansion in liquids. So liquids also expand on heating. Since they do not have fixed shape, we already knew that a liquid is having only one free surface, that is whenever it is put inside the liquid, whenever it is put inside a vessel, the surface which is top surface is its only free surface. So they take the shape of the container in which they are kept. So on heating they only shows cubical or volume expansion. So as we know that all the objects expand on heating, but water shows a different behavior. When it is heated from 0 degree to 4 degree centigrade, as we all know 0 degree centigrade is the freezing point of the water. But when it is heated from 0 to 4 degree centigrade, instead of expanding, it starts contracting. And it expands when further heated above 4 degree centigrade. Now when it is heated above 4 degree centigrade, then only it will start expanding. So here you can see a liquid has been placed. Now when the temperature is 70 degree, its initial position. Now when the temperature is increased, what happens? Its level is rising. You can see from here to here, now level has risen. Why? Due to the expansion of the liquid. Now as the temperature is increased from 140 to 180 degree centigrade, this liquid expand to this level such that it will start coming out from this vessel. So we can say that on heating, the liquid gradually expands, and at a certain temperature it will start boiling also. So let's see a few practical applications of thermal expansion in liquids. So you must have seen the medicine bottles, the cough syrups that you are purchasing. So you must have noticed a small gap is also always left in them. Why? Because when they are sent to the hot countries, then we have already seen that liquid always expand on heating. So when they are sent to the hot countries, then they expand, and this small space is left in order to allow the liquid medicines to expand without coming out from the medicine bottle. So this is one of the practical application of the liquids. Then thermal expansion in gases. So as we already knew that gases has the least amount of intermolecular force and they have the maximum intermolecular space. So they can move in any direction. That is why gases expand more than solids and liquids on heating, and they shows only the cubical or volume expansion because they always take the shape of the container in which they are kept. So this is where you can see a gas is there, and its molecules can easily move anywhere and they are always free to move in any direction. So when it is heated, they starts expanding, and as they starts expanding, this plate is going upwards due to the motion of the molecules. So they are showing only the cubical or volume expansion. So as we already knew that heat is the energy which flows due to the difference in temperature. So when heat is transferred from a body at a higher temperature to a body at a lower temperature, that is, heat always flows from hot object to a cold object, that we have already knew. So heat can be transferred in the three ways. There are three modes of heat transfer. First is conduction, then convection, then radiation. So we will discuss all these three modes in detail one by one. So suppose if you burn up the wood, your hands will start feel the hot due to the conduction. Then suppose if you put a rod little bit not in the direct contact with this fire, the rod will start to heat due to the process of conduction. Then your hands start feeling warm without any actual contact due to the process of convection, and this heat is flowing into all the direction due to the process of radiation. So these all the three phenomena we will discuss one by one. First of all, let's discuss what is conduction. So conduction is the process of the transfer of the heat in an object from the hotter end of the object to the colder end of the object without any actual movement of the particles of the material. It takes place mainly in solid objects and occurs only when two materials are in contact. So in order to conduction to take place, the two objects should be in direct contact with each other, otherwise conduction will not take place. Like this you can see, suppose you put a metal rod, okay, it is necessary that it should be a good conductor over this flame. So what happens, as it is put on the flame, the temperature starts to increase, and this cooler end is now moving to the hot, is gaining the temperature, because heat flows from this end, from hot end to the cold end directly, and at some point of time the temperature at this point as well as this point becomes same. This is due to the conduction of the heat. Similarly, suppose if you put a plastic spoon inside the water and a metal spoon inside a very hot water. So what happened? The hot water, the spoon starts to absorb the heat from the water and it becomes hot, whereas this plastic spoon does not becomes hot. Why? Because plastic is not a good conductor of the heat, whereas this metal is a good conductor of heat. So let's discuss what are conductors. So the materials that allow heat to pass through them easily are called as conductors. For examples, metals are always the good conductor of heat, like aluminium, iron, copper, silver, etc. So these are the good conductors of the heat. All the metals, all the alloys of the metals, and they conduct heat very easily. Whereas the materials that does not allow heat to pass through them are called as insulators. They are known as poor or bad conductor of heat. For example, plastic, like we have seen in the previous example, when the plastic spoon has been kept in the hot water, it is not conducting the heat. Wood, glass, rubber, etc. So these all are the bad conductor of heat, or we can say they are known as the insulators. Now where is the utility of good conductors of heat? Cooking vessels. So you already knew that all the cooking vessels that you use at home are made up of the metals like copper, aluminium, and the alloys like brass and stainless steel, because heat can easily travel through the metal like iron, and it is easily heated and it can easily be spread. So that is why all the cooking utensils are made up of good conductors of heat. Then thermometric liquid. So we already knew that inside the thermometer, liquid thermometer, mercury is used as a thermometric liquid, because since mercury is a metal and it is a good conductor of heat, so it gets heated and it quickly expands. So here you can see, this is the mercury thermometer. So this level of the mercury easily expands when it is heated, and it is easily contracts or dips when the temperature is decreased. Similarly, there are uses of bad conductor of heats also. Whenever you are doing the cooking from a vessel, for example, this is a pressure cooker, and if you are doing the cooking, so in order to lift it, what is done? The handles of cooking vessels are made of ebonite or wood because they are the poor conductor of heat. So they does not conduct the heat from the vessel to the handle. So we are able to hold these vessels. So this is one of the use of bad conductor of heat. Then false ceilings. Nowadays, false ceilings have been made inside the home, made up of plaster of Paris, asbestos or wooden plyboards. Why? Because in these there is a small gap in which a layer of air can be trapped. And since we know that air is a bad conductor of heat, so during the summer it keep the room cool, and during the winters it keep the room warm. So this is the use of the false ceiling. Next is double walls in an ice box. So you must have seen the ice box. So the ice box always contains double walls like this. And why it is? So why it is being done? In order to prevent the melting of ice. So this gap is filled with the non-conducting material like cork or glass and wood like this. We wear the woolen clothes in winter because they are the wet conduct, since they are having the fine pores which are filled with air, and again air is a very poor conductor of heat. So whenever the heat is, whatever heat is inside our body, it is not going easily away from our body while wearing the woolen clothes. Similarly, blankets are used to keep us warm in the winters. In summers, the ice is wrapped in blankets to prevent it from melting, because again blanket have fine pores which contains airs, and air is a poor conductor, so it does not allow heat to escape from our body in the winters, and it does not allow the outside heat to reach the ice wrapped in the blanket. Then quilts, we all are using the quilts during the winters. Quilts means rajai. So it is made up of fluffy cotton which again contains the air, and this air does not allow heat to escape from our body to the surrounding. So we do not feel cool. In the cold countries, the water pipes are insulated with an insulator like asbestos, so that heat of the water does not pass to the surroundings. Thus, water does not freeze and it prevents the bursting of the pipes. So, in the countries where the temperature are very low, so it is done by covering it with an insulator like asbestos, these pipes, so that this asbestos does not allow this heat of the water to pass through this ice, and the water is in the liquid form, and this water is in the liquid form, and since it is in the liquid form, so it will not freeze and it will prevent the bursting of the pipes. So these are the few uses of bad conductor and good conductor of heat. Next heat transfer process is convection. So convection is the transfer of heat by the movement of particles of a medium from one place to another, and it does not require direct contact. It is always takes place due to the difference in densities. That is why it occurs only in liquids and gases, and in solids due to the least intermolecular space, no convection takes place. The transfer of heat in convection is always vertically upwards. For example, wind currents. We already knew that lower floor of a building is always cooler than the upper floor. Why? Because since the cool air contains the water vapor, so it is denser and it is heavier, so it comes down, and the warmer air, which is lack of water vapors, it is lighter than the cooler air. So the cooler air takes the place of the warmer air here, and the warm air goes up due to its light weight. That is why the lower floor of the building is always cooler than the upper floor. Then the atmosphere at the seashore is always pleasant because of the convection, that we already knew that these things, that at the At the seashore, the atmosphere is always pleasant because of the convection due to the land breeze during the night and sea breeze during the daytime. So next we will discuss convection currents in nature. In the next week we will discuss about this in the detail. So for now, it's thank you.